Mexico City Water Infrastructure, an SOS 394 group project. Mexico City has a population of 9 million people as of 2013, and its metropolitan area houses more than 21 million people. The city itself holds 20% of Mexico's residents, and the metropolitan area is expected to grow to 23 million by 2020. The MCMA, otherwise known as the Mexico City and Metropolitan Area, manages the water of the city and because of increasing population and demand of water, is facing challenges in providing an adequate supply to the city's residents. This system is proving to be inefficient as residents of the city are turning to collecting rainwater and standing in long lines for a weak supply of water. The lack of a steady water supply is due to the poor filtration system and leaks along distribution channels, which on average loses 40% of the water. When we consider the state of Mexico City's water infrastructure as an action arena, we must consider the exogenous variables that affect the participants and outcomes that have led to the poor water management today. The exogenous variables include biophysical conditions, attributes of the community, and rules in use. The biophysical conditions of the Mexico City landscape dramatically affects the city's infrastructure and, in some ways, emphasizes the biggest problems of the infrastructure. The megacity is built on a series of shallow lake beds. Regular amounts of rainfall leads to dangerous flooding in the valley and exacerbates existing health problems. With the lack of proper drainage, flood water mixes with wastewater, resulting in greater health risks. Part of the biophysical climate of Mexico City is the city's reliance on pumping for groundwater, which increases land subsidence. As you can see in the picture here, you can see the sinking of these buildings caused by greater pumping of groundwater. The second of the exogenous variables are the attributes of the community. Each point on this slide highlights the attributes of each participant within several different positions in the Mexico City action arena. The one I'd like to highlight is collective action. Collective action arises among the community members when there's growing unrest about the failing water management in the city. The last of the exogenous variables are rules in use that each participant follows. Individuals follow some rules in use, like filling buckets of water that they can carry without exploiting it completely. The rule in use for most is that water is the highest priority and not a resource to take advantage of. These are rules in use of individuals who participate in the position of a resource user. One rule in use of the politicians and delegations is that individuals can continually pump water and rely on bottled water sustainably. There have been several actions taken towards sustainability for the city, but this rule in use seems to have been one of previous decision makers.
When discussing action framework, it's key to identify the main participants. In this case, discussing Mexico's infrastructure, one of the main participants you need to look at are the politicians. The politicians involved in the action of improving infrastructure include government officials that are responsible for making decisions. In order to ensure that there is political support, it is important that the benefits are broadcast and the politicians are aware of the urgency. In addition, there is the water distributors. The actual water distributors will be responsible for treating and moving water to communities. This role could be filled by government treatment facilities, existing infrastructure, or external groups or private businesses that utilize trucks or transport high-priced water to communities. The communities are affected by the decisions government officials make. Any changes decided on by government leaders can help bring clean water to communities, ensure roads are maintained, and keep people safe. Additionally, communities need to be protected against flooding and drought problems that can occur when storage and pipeline systems fail. Communities cannot thrive without well-maintained infrastructure for their water systems. Finally, there's the individuals and farms. Individuals must be able to have access to clean water for daily drinking use, personal usage, and for the irrigation of crops. If their pipelines are reliable, people may need to go days without water, or will get low-quality water, or unreliable. These problems can be fixed by improving the water infrastructure and can significantly help the health of our individuals. In addition to improving their health, the improvement of water infrastructure would allow more reliable irrigation and increase the reliability of these people's livelihoods.
Possible negative outcomes from this action situation include the aquifers becoming depleted, the improvement of the infrastructure not happening at all, the improvement of the infrastructure happening partially but not completely, flooding, water scarcity, and poor water quality, and then the ground level sinking. Now, the aquifers becoming depleted is definitely going to affect the ground level sinking because currently in Mexico City, the ground level is already sinking, and according to some sources, it's already sunk about 33 feet because the aquifers below the city are actually becoming depleted at that rate. The infrastructure itself is in poor shape currently, and the outcomes of the situation is that it could go on as is and end up not becoming improved at all. Some of the possible positive outcomes of this action situation would be that the government decides to invest dramatically in improving the infrastructure for the water system in Mexico City. And this would be very costly and involve a lot of citywide planning, involve a lot of government officials to change their minds about where they stand on these kinds of situations. And according to some of the articles we've read on this topic, it may take grassroots changes to actually get the government's attention. Communities are able to raise money for local infrastructure improvement is another possible positive outcome. And the big thing about this is that it's actually possible and it's starting to happen. Locals are beginning to take matters into their own hands. For example, Ila Urbana is a nonprofit organization in Mexico City that is actually installing rainwater harvesting systems to low-income communities. And things like this are actually happening all over the city on a small scale. And this is actually definitely something that could make a big difference for people and their daily lives in improving the water quality that they have as well as the amount of water they have access to.
In conclusion, the MCMA is working heavily on developing a more sustainable water supply system. This includes an artificial recharge system of the aquifers to reduce the negative effect of retracting so much groundwater, water tariffs, and importing water from different sources. However, much improvement can be made, including reducing water usage so even less is needed by the residents, agriculture, businesses, and commerce. Overall, improving sustainability is necessary to all stakeholders involved. If this is not done, then the water situation will continue to decline and groundwater will be depleted as citizens will be left without a water supply.